Sometimes the difference between life and death, success and obscurity, fortune and ruin comes down to a single twist of fate. A missed train, a delayed flight, a stranger on a street corner. We call them coincidences. But what if these moments weren't accidents at all? What if they were the universe whispering, guiding, aligning us with a path we didn't even know we were meant to walk? This is the Legacy Code. And today we dive into the true stories of unbelievable coincidences that have changed lives forever. Stories so strange, so improbable, that you'll be left asking yourself, was it really luck or something else entirely? September 11th, 2001. The world watched in horror as two planes struck the Twin Towers in New York City. Nearly 3,000 lives were lost. But in the chaos of that morning, countless strange stories emerged of people who should have died but didn't. Take Michael Hinkson, a blind man who worked on the 78th floor of the North Tower. On that morning, his guide dog Roselle was restless, nudging him unusually hard before the first plane struck. That nudge caused Michael to leave his desk just moments before impact, setting him on the path that led to his survival. Roselle calmly guided him down 78 flights of stairs through smoke and panic. Or consider Stanley Premnath, an executive who was running late. The delay saved him. His office was hit directly by Flight 175. By sheer chance, he survived when most of his colleagues perished. One of the most famous cases was Seth MacFarlane, creator of Family Guy, who had booked a ticket on American Airlines Flight 11, the very plane that hit the North Tower. By what he called a combination of a hangover and a scheduling error, he missed the flight by minutes. That mistake kept him alive. Coincidence? Or was there something more? For those who walked away from that day, the question has haunted them ever since. Sometimes a coincidence doesn't save your life. It changes the entire course of your destiny. In 1972, Steve Jobs dropped out of Reed College after just 6 months. But instead of going home, he hung around campus, sleeping on friends' floors and sneaking into classes. One day, purely by curiosity, he wandered into a calligraphy class. Jobs had no logical reason to be there. He wasn't a design student. He wasn't thinking about fonts or typography. But that random decision planted a seed. A decade later, when he was building the first Macintosh computer, Jobs remembered that class. He insisted that the Mac have beautiful typography, proportional spacing, and multiple typefaces. It was revolutionary. Computers before then had nothing but clunky, uniform fonts. Jobs' obsession with calligraphy set Apple apart, influencing the design of nearly every digital interface we use today. As Jobs himself later said in his Stanford commencement speech, "If I had never dropped in on that single course, the Mac would never have had multiple typefaces or proportionally spaced fonts. And since Windows copied the Mac, it's likely no personal computer would have them." One random class, one coincidence, and the way we read and interact with technology was changed forever. In 1997, two young entrepreneurs were desperately trying to raise money for their internet startup. Their names? Larry Page and Sergey Brin, the founders of Google. They were running out of cash, struggling to convince investors that their search engine was different from the others. Then, by pure chance, they were introduced to Andy Bechtolsheim, co-founder of Sun Microsystem. It wasn't a planned meeting. In fact, the introduction was informal. A friend invited Bechtolsheim over one morning to hear a quick demo. Bechtolsheim barely had time, but within 5 minutes of seeing the prototype, he wrote a check for $100,000 to Google Inc., a company that didn't technically exist yet. Larry and Sergey had to rush to open a bank account so they could cash it. That chance encounter gave them the breathing room to grow. Without it, Google might have vanished into obscurity like so many failed dot-coms of the era. One 5-minute meeting, one coincidence, and the modern internet was born. Before she became one of the most influential women in the world, Oprah Winfrey was an aspiring television host struggling to find her voice. She had been working in local news but felt stifled, unsure of her place. Then came a fateful coincidence. Oprah was offered a role to co-host a low-budget morning talk show in Chicago called AM Chicago. At the time, she was hesitant. It wasn't a prestigious news position. In fact, it was considered a step down. But she said yes. What happened next was astonishing. Within months of her joining, the show experienced a significant surge in ratings. Her natural warmth, empathy, and charisma shined through. NBC took notice, and by 1986, The Oprah Winfrey Show launched nationally. The rest is history. 25 seasons, 140 countries, billions in revenue, and a legacy of influence that few media figures have ever matched. That one accidental offer ultimately led to a global empire. In 2007, Brian Chesky and Joe Gebbia were broke. They had just launched a tiny idea, renting out air mattresses in their San Francisco apartment to travelers. They called it Air Bed and Breakfast, but nobody cared. They were drowning in debt. One day, by sheer chance, they met a former venture capitalist while walking through the city. Curious, the man asked what they were working on. They explained their idea. Instead of laughing, he encouraged them to pitch properly. That man introduced them to investors who would later fund their seemingly wacky idea. That random street encounter was the first domino in a chain that led to Airbnb, a company now worth tens of billions of dollars. Some coincidences are almost too much to believe. In 1945, Tsutomu Yamaguchi, a Japanese engineer, was in Hiroshima on business. On August 6th, the first atomic bomb was dropped on the city. Yamaguchi survived with burns and temporary blindness. Shaken, he returned home to Nagasaki, only to experience the second atomic bombing on August 9th. Incredibly, he survived again. Doctors later recognized him as the only officially certified survivor of both atomic bombings. He lived until 2010, passing away at age 93. Two bombs, two cities, one man. Was that a coincidence? Or something else? These stories raise a question too powerful to ignore. Were these people just lucky? Or were they in tune with some higher source of the universe? Whether it's Jobs wandering into calligraphy, Oprah saying yes to the wrong job, or Yamaguchi surviving the unthinkable, these stories remind us that life's most profound moments are often born of chance, but the chance that seems almost orchestrated. Perhaps, as Carl Jung suggested, these are not coincidences at all, but synchronicity, meaningful connections without causal explanation, events that reveal the hidden architecture of reality. And maybe the real legacy lies in what we do when fate places these moments before us. Do we recognize them? Do we act? Do we trust that the universe sometimes knows better than we do? So the next time life surprises you with a twist you didn't plan for, don't be so quick to call it luck. It may be the universe moving things around you cannot yet see. After all, the line between coincidence and destiny is thinner than you think. This is the legacy code, and these are the stories that remind us nothing in life is ever truly random. Don't forget to like and subscribe so we can continue this journey together. Thank you for watching.